It's finally Friday. It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
All right, welcome back to the Friday Show, presented by DRF Bets. I'm Scott Jagow, along with Ray Paulick. Ray, we're on both coasts this week. In New York, some interesting polling numbers regarding the possibility of synthetics at Aqueduct. But let's start in California, where they're proposing a huge, I mean huge, change to the whip rule. Okay, so the change would be that jockeys could use the whip 4 times instead of 3 in the last 16th of a mile. They're going to have a comment period about this. So what's your comment?
Well, California Horse Racing Board is the first state to adopt a rule that limits the number of times you can use the riding crop in the stretch. And that's all fine. But what's really crazy about this is that the vote was decided 4-3. And Alex Solis was, the deciding vote. And he's an active jockey who just a month ago was fined for overuse of the whip. So of course he wants to change the rule.
And, he said something about this. He told a little story as to why he wanted to change the rule. And let's hear what he had to say.
I had to be very honest. I've been in trouble a month ago because at 16 of mile, my horse got very tired, and that was her first race back. I hit it 3 times, and then I hit it one more time right at the wire, and she just won by a nose. And I know if I would have done that, it would have cost me the winner.
That's what upsets me is the horse is tired, he's given out, and we're sitting there encouraging him with a whip. I think that's cruel.
Boy, Ray, that's cringeworthy to hear a jockey talking about a horse coming off a layoff late in the stretch, tiring, needed one more pop to win the race. And you heard what fellow board member Steve Benito said about it. It's just not a good look. It wasn't the right thing to say.
I don't like it. We talked about this last week. The public is changing its views on how animals are treated when they're used in sports and entertainment. And to say that a tiring horse who's given its all needs to be whipped, that just sends the wrong message. Even Scott Cheney, the California Horse Racing Board steward who commented on this at the meeting, said that kind of talk sounds like animal abuse, and we just can't afford that. The whip is going to go away at some point. We're not going to have it, and I'd much rather see commissions get rid of the whip than have the public get rid of horse racing.
Yeah, and while the whip is around, the problem with having a rule like this, while it sounds good, hey, we're protecting the horse, in practice it doesn't work because the fine is not a deterrent to the jockeys. The fine is $200. Let's say the purse is $100,000 and they get 10%. So you do the math on that. So the jockeys are going to violate the rule and just take their fine. So it doesn't make any sense. The whole thing makes no sense, including the fact that an active jockey gets to vote on the rule. So, all right, let's move on to New York.
Madam Mabry is the leader here through a quarter in 23 2/5 seconds. Madam Mabry by 2.5.
The inner track at Aqueduct has been a source of problems in recent years with breakdowns. Recently, Chris Kay, the CEO of NYRA, said that the New York Racing Association has budgeted for a synthetic track to be installed at Aqueduct. Now, this flies in the face of recent trends where tracks are going back to dirt. So, Ray, do you think this would be a good investment for New York?
I do. First of all, synthetic tracks are safer. The inner track is only used during the winter months when they have the most extreme weather and the worst track conditions. So a New York horseman would be racing on a safer surface for those months that they would race on the inner track. Secondly, it would keep some stables in New York that currently leave because there's no turf racing over the winter time, and turf horses transition really well to synthetics.
But the reason that synthetic surfaces have been changed back to dirt at places like Del Mar and Keeneland, primarily the horsemen didn't like it. So I'm wondering, do the horsemen like this idea?
The New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association did a survey of its membership, owners and trainers, and it was surprising. They even admitted in their email to members that the results were surprising. It came in basically even. 47% were against, 45% in favor, and the rest were undecided. And that pretty much mirrors the survey of our readership, which shows 53% in favor of a synthetic track and the inner surface, and 47% against.
So what do you think? Add your opinion to our survey online at PaulickReport.com. We'll be in New York next week, Ray, for the Belmont Stakes and the Festival of Racing around that. So thanks for joining us on this week's edition of the Friday Show presented by DRF Bets, and we'll see you next week.